Hey there, Simone here with Bulletproof Business Growth. As always, with some ideas and insights, what to pay attention to when you're growing and scaling your business. Now, what I want to talk today about is the key to better hiring, retention, and fast growth, which means you're unlocking your team's potential, which also means you're unlocking your business growth right there. So today we're going to discuss what leveraged leadership really means. So a lot of that is really a mindset shift that transforms your hiring, your retention, your growth without it being more work on you, which is what you're all looking for. So you have to think about why this is important. Well, it's important for you to have this mindset shift because your largest hiring pool are the younger generations right now. And the youngest generation, I know we love to complain about them, but that is your biggest pool of people who are going to be most likely filling a lot of your positions. So we have to learn how to lead them and how to really utilize them for the best of their ability, what they bring to the table, because there's actually a lot. Now, here's one of the big things is they don't just want to do a job. They want like a robust career. They want to have growth. They want to learn. There's a ton of research that shows that continued growth is one of the number one factors whether they will stay or stray. So you really have to take that to heart because that's what you're going to be facing. So this is good news. Recognize this as good news because that means you can really use this to make your hiring easier, because what that means is you have to give whatever positions that you want to hire for, you have to give them meaning, impact, purpose. But that also means that when these generations are more interested in meaning, impact, and purpose, that also means they're actually not the ones who are looking for the most money, because this is not the most important thing to them. They want impact, meaning, and purpose more than they want the highest payday. So that also means that you have to change with the times, because otherwise the times leave you behind. You know, as we've discussed many times, the hiring profile, the employee expectations have changed forever in the last few years. And those business owners who resist those changes will get left behind, because the hiring qualifications, the competition, all of it gets higher and higher. So it's really important that we recognize it's no longer enough to just give people tasks and instructions. So you have to really figure out what they want. They want vision, they want involvement, they want mentorship, they want coachability, they want all that baked into their daily experience when they're recognize the amount of time everybody is spending at work, because that's what they're recognizing and that's what they're really wanting to change. So this means influence and impact is really important to them, which also means we're all becoming much more mission centric. That means you have to be more mission centric. And here's the good news. Anybody can take the mission that you have and focus it on something that makes it important. So why does mission matter? You know, it like no matter what you do, you can take it and make it into something good. Like one of my favorite stories is one of our clients who owns a wastewater company. You know, there's nothing glamorous in pumping porta potties and cleaning grease traps. But he had a very specific mission that he was serving. It wasn't just that. It was that he wanted to give people a second chance, people who'd been left behind, people who had had a tough time. And so he hired a lot of people out of prison, a lot of people who had had some big challenges, who were not really that employable, but he made them employable. He helped them become employable, which means, yes, he had no, it wasn't, his idea was not every single person I'm going to bring on board is going to be amazing. But his idea was there are amazing people out there and I'm going to find them and they're going to be amazing with me. And that's exactly what happened. He found some really incredible people who wanted the chance, who wanted the opportunity. And that became his mission just as much as what the company really did. So with that example, I'm going to say every single person who listens to this can come up with an important mission that they're serving, which is not necessarily the first thing that you're thinking about. So this is really good news because this means it increases your relatability on all fronts. So think about this. In this world that's full of noise and disconnect, people are really looking for connection. So when you think about, people, it means really your customers of all levels. It means your team. It means the people that that are buying your product or your service. It means your partners. It means anybody who is in your sphere of influence. Those are all your customers. And we want to make sure that we give our customers, which also means your team, the meaning, the connection, the positive impact that they're looking for when they do business with us. So this goes far beyond profit. And that's when you think about what's mission-centric, what do you need to focus on. When you have these hiring conversations, it's that piece. So you have to think about how your company can serve on all levels. So leverage leadership really means you grow when they grow. So instead of micromanaging everything yourself, where you determine every single role, where you have to organize every single role, well, you have to break it down, where you have to control it, it means that your mindset shift is you're equipping others to do an amazing job, to do exponentially more, because now it's not just you doing everything, it's that you get everybody else to work with you in a way that they can actually drive the highest and best outcome, that they're involved in company strategy, that they can actually understand what the big picture is, how they fit into it, and how they can do an amazing job for you. So this is your mindset shift of equipping others with the skills and with the confidence that they need to do exponentially more with you. So this is like, think about it as you are building extensions of yourself. You're building a whole army of people who are thinking and acting very similar to what you would do. So what does it take to get there? Well, first of all, means you have to raise your standards and stick to it. So part of that is ripping out the weeds before you can plant the flowers. So the number one step is really admitting to the mistakes that you have made with your team to your team. So you want to get your team together and you need to have this reset conversation, because if they're used to you doing everything, you taking over, you being the hero who's saving the day when there's a problem, that's what they're waiting for, because they're used to you showing up that way. So the first conversation that all of you really need to have is where you sit down with them and say, hey, our business is not able to get to the next level because I'm involved in far too many things. So what that means for us going forward is that I'm going to focus on what my highest and best use is as your leader, as the owner of this company. And I'm going to help you, mentor you, and empower you to fill your highest and best use so you can have the clarity that you need to make decisions without me, that you can have the authority to move forward, that you can be strategic, that you can improve things, that you can truly own what you do every single day without needing my help so much and my permission to get things done. So this is the first conversation that needs to happen, because you need to let them know, hey, the tides are turning, things are going to be different, we're going to do things differently. And then, of course, you have to give them the crystal clear vision for the change that's needed in the next 6 to 12 months. That's where we're starting. So we talk about what are the changes in operation that we need to actually start having. So part of that is when your team, your people are just used to all they do is fulfilling tasks. Well, now we're going to move them forward into not just the task thinking, which is this tiny little slice that they're focused on, but actually you're going to be responsible for your reoccurring project. So we're going to help them understand the whole enchilada rather than just working on this one tiny little thing, right? So that's how we change the way we operate. Then we have to talk about the values and the standards that we need to focus on so that we can actually be successful in this change. And a lot of times it's where you have to talk about accountability. It's where you have to talk about ownership. It's where you have to help them understand what's needed in their behavior, in their mindset, in the way that they show up so that they can operate at a higher level. And that's a conversation you don't just have once. You're going to have this conversation over and over and over, because think about this. All of you have been training in the old way for potentially many years. I mean, maybe you have team members who've been with you for 5, 10, 20 years. So that's what they're used to. That's what they're trained in. Now we have to untrain the old behaviors so that you can actually, all of you can be successful in new behaviors. People are going to backslide. People are going to be grabbed by habit gravity. People are going to do things the way they're used to until you start talking about it and implementing it over and over and over. So just get used to, you're going to be the chief reminding officer for quite some time until this new way of doing things becomes the new habit. So, and this is very important for you in terms of setting expectations for yourself, because if you don't do that, you're going to be in trouble and you're going to abandon ship before you even start. So we have to talk about the values and standards that we need to change. Then we have to talk about clarity of roles. So when we talk about company expansion, everybody's role is going to have to change. It has to expand. It has to get up leveled. It has to be clarified. Everybody needs to be very, very clear about what their lane is so that they can actually do a better job. So we have to give them crystal clarity for how this change is going to affect their role. And then we have to explain the change in structure. So we're going to, instead of just doing things day by day, we're going to start planning. We're going to make sure that we have a company plan, that every single person on the team understands how they contribute to company plan, and that they have ownership in how they do this, and that they also will have the support from you to get it done. And that's really, really important. If you're just talking about change with them, but you're not telling them how you're going to support them in this change, they're not going to be very agreeable to this. So you have to help them understand, hey, I'm not just throwing you under the bus. I'm not just expecting all this stuff. I'm going to help you get this done. Okay? It's very, very important. So we're talking about company plan, individual plans that everybody's responsible for, helping them own that responsibility, getting the support that they need, which means we're going to have weekly team meetings where we examine how we're doing on our journey here. How, like, are we achieving, are we being who we said we would be? Are we actually owning our values and standards? Where are we missing? Where are we winning? And how do we solve this together? And then you'll also have one-on-ones with them on a consistent, regular basis so that you can give them feedback and help them grow. And in these one-on-ones, it's so important that they understand that they're part of a whole company expansion. They're an integral part to this happening. So this is really how you support the team that you already have. Because now when we're talking about hiring, we want to make sure that the team that you already have is optimized as much as possible, that their behaviors are in tune with where you're going, that you have raised the standards, that everybody has clear operating procedures, that everybody understands how they're part of the plan, because then when new people come in, they feel like, oh, wow, this place is organized, this place is running, everybody is owning things, and that's what they're going to emulate, not your sad old broken culture where everything is already not working. So when you have this conversation with your existing team, you're going to notice pretty quickly who's excited and who's not, because you want to know this. When you make changes like this, your great people, they're going to start shining. And you're not so great people, you're going to really notice that they are not on board with you, because you want to know this so you can make a better plan, because you can't grow with naysayers. So in your mind, you want to start assembling a plan for who stays and who's going to have to go. So this is not about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You're not going to fire everybody tomorrow, but you want to keep noticing, who's being coachable, who's showing up, who's making improvements, and who's not. Because those who are not, we will need to replace over time. If you want to grow, you can't grow with people who can't grow with you, right? So then when we approach hiring, you want to think about, I want to hire up. So I want to hire quality people. And you want to be really, really selective. And the only people you want to hire are people who are self-starters, who demonstrate initiative and competence. Even when you're hiring them for lower level positions, that it's a mindset. It's a mindset that you, like every single person in your company needs to own. Being a self-starter, taking initiative, and always looking for how can I increase my competence. So you want to look for not just current capabilities, but you also want to look for potential. And then when you're onboarding people, you want to talk about that vision so much. I mean, you want to talk about that during the hiring process, but you want to keep talking about your vision and how that translates into daily action and results. So you want to talk about vision. You want to focus on transition more to long-term trajectories and not just the transactional training every single day. You always want to relate it back and forth. Hey, what's the long-term trajectory and how does that show up in our everyday behavior, actions, and results? And what you really want to foster here throughout the entire team is you want them to be hungry to learn. You want them to always be looking for how can we improve, how can we level up. So that means you're going to have to look for opportunities for them, like, where like maybe there's conferences, maybe there's courses, maybe there is some sort of trainings they can go to. One thing that our clients have been really successful is when you take your high potentials, get them a mentor who can maybe just mentor them on projects to start, but so that they can really see how does this work at a higher level. But that also means you have to really start leading. So your focus really has to be on expanding the vision. That means you have to be really consistent with your one-on-ones with them so that they can get the feedback that they need, because this is where you're really teaching your leaders. If your company, if your team is structured properly, you're just doing this with your leaders, and then your leaders are going to do this with their teams or their leaders. So we have to have this consistently go through all the levels of the company. So you want to talk to them about goals and objectives. You want to, in those one-on-ones, you want to really focus on how can you unblock them? How can you help them execute and deliver at a higher level? So this is where you give them resources and not directives. So very, very important that you're the person during those meetings who asks the questions, and it's not up to you to come up with the answers. You want to guide them and teach them how to come up with those answers by themselves. So soon you will have the high potentials on your team now training and leveraging these skills and this leadership with the new hires that they're leading themselves. So this is where you get to model what you want them to emulate as well. So this means now you're free from micromanaging. you can really grow your capabilities and your impact with much, much less effort. And this means you're going to have way fewer turnovers as careers grow. You're going to have a much better, more engaged team, because this is really where the dream comes true, where you have a perpetually ascending team that propels your vision upward. So I hope this helped. Go through this again. Make sure that you take your existing team and make the changes you need to make so that they can be at the highest level. And then as you're bringing in new people, they're going to seek that level and not the level that you had before. Have a great week, and I will talk to you next time. Oh, and don't forget, go to bulletproofbusinessgrowth.com/leap, bulletproofbusinessgrowth.com/leap. Check out the new training that's in there, and then I will see you next time.